Hey guys, and welcome to a Mad Science bonus episode. Essentially, I'm here with Mojo.
Hooray! Hello, hello,
Hello.
hooray!
Woohoo! So we're on the server, running out some more points, but we're actually here to show you the trash system. You guys requested that, and we didn't get it on an actual episode, and we're going to pretty much end the series tomorrow. So we figured we would do kind of a bonus episode here where we go over the trash system used in the map.
Yeah. So, this thing that we're standing next to is the standard sort of outpost or base outpost controller system, all concreted in and wheel-proof. Otherwise, you'd set fire to all the combinators.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought to first go over the principle, we'll have a look up here, wherever I left it, to this thing, which this is a more basic version of the same trash system, which passes between individual robo networks. So this thing passes from, what is it, the green circuits up there down into this network here, which is the red circuit. And so this one doesn't actually need, beyond the constant combinator, doesn't need any combinators at all. So you see the red wire that's coming up from the top. So that's connected directly to a robo port. And what you can see on the wire is uh, a lot of negative numbers. And I'm trying to think of a way of doing this. I might just quickly unplug the requester chest, like so,
Okay.
and then turn off the um, constant combinator. And now you'll see that's just the what's happening in the network.
Right.
And so all this um, operates on is it just literally wires what's in the network to the requester chest. So if I was to wire it in with a combinator off, everything that's in the network would be requested into this chest. And that's where the constant combinator comes in, because if you wire it to the pole, and if I turn it back on, or if you actually have a look in the constant combinator first, you'll see it has a whole lot of negative, really big numbers of everything that's in the network. And so what that's doing is it's adding those negative numbers to these positive numbers of what's in the network. And the theory is that the requester chest will only request positive numbers of actual items that it can request. And so if you add a really big negative number to what's in the network, in theory, it will never request that item into the chest, only the things that you don't want.
Right.
Yeah, so if I turn that back on, so yeah, everything that's wanted in the network is in this list as like negative a million or 10 million. The choice of number is mm, somewhat dependent on how much you expect in the network. So 1 million or even 100,000 is probably fine for the most part. But if you have something which has an extraordinarily large number of, or say a bot-based smelter, you might want to set it up to like 10 million, 20 million. You should watch out though. You don't want to go too high. I found problems going beyond 20 million where you run into number underflow or overflow problems with the actual integer itself.
Yeah, and I mean, if you actually needed to set it to that much, like to actually create negatives of what's in the network, then I think you have bigger problems if you're
Yeah.
storing that much stuff in a network.
Biggest I've ever had of anything was 3.5 million coal in my megabase power station.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that'd be reasonable. Even then, though, just like four or
Yeah,
5 million would do. So yeah,
yeah.
essentially,
I like
yeah,
I like 10 million.
yeah, it's easy, round, easy to do. So just to clarify, so you set in the constant combinator the things that you do want in the network, and then everything
Yeah,
else
that's right.
is requested to here. So, you know, anything else. So, if for example, if I were to stick like stone in here, theoretically,
Yep.
the requester should be requesting it
Yeah, if it was
wired.
wired back in. But with it off right now, you can see step by step what's going on. So the stone is the only signal that's above zero. So 50 stone will appear as the request. And also I should plug in the wire again so you can see, like so.
Eh,
And so now the bots are requesting it. And on the chest itself, there's modes of operation, read contents or set request, and it's currently set to set request, which is the other thing you need to change in the chest for it to work.
Yep. So
And as far as this goes, that's pretty much all there is to it.
yeah, this is it's really just that simple. This is just a pass through, to pass through your different networks, and I believe it's a fairly similar concept for the actual um, kind of station thing down below, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you noticed that, but you saw it was quite slow picking up the stone. So there was this big, large rush. They grabbed most of the stone, filled the chest, and then there was a few more bots that came along, one after the other, just moving 4 stone at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the downsides to this arrangement is it only requests the amount that it sees. So as you start off, like if you have a large amount that needs to be trashed, say you brought in an inventory full of wood, it'll trash a lot at first, and it'll slowly decrease over time as the request gets smaller.
Okay, interesting.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And the other thing is also the whole setting a negative, weird big number. May not be understandable to some people, particularly on a multiplayer game.
right. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really make sense for that an explanation necessarily. So,
Yeah. And so that's where the main system comes in. It overcomes those a few of those problems, and includes a few quality of life features as well. So down here is the same. Well, first of all, here's the RoboPort again, as you can see with the red wire. But now we actually have 2 constant combinators. So the first one that's just above me is now a list of items that I want to keep, and you only just have to say what you want. You don't have to specify any weird negative numbers or anything like that.
mm-hmm,
And that is then using combinators. So it then feeds into the bottommost arithmetic combinator, which does the multiply by 10 million. So it's each. So each of those in the combinator multiplied by negative 10 million and then outputs that.
mm-hmm,
Then it goes into a decider combinator, which does the wire addition with everything that's in the robo network. And so everything that's greater than 0. So that's the same as what that requester chest was doing with the wire logic
mm-hmm.
in the previous one. And so if you put stone in, that would be the only one greater than 0 in this case.
Right.
Then it goes up to this third combinator above that one. And this one multiplies whatever output by 5. Oh yeah, I should also say before that, the decider outputs 1 of whatever it matches with. So if you put 50 stone in the network, it would see 50 stone is greater than 0 and then just output 1 stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gets multiplied by the next one, which multiplies everything by 500. And that step overcomes that previous problem where, as the number of items reduces, the request sort of slows down over time. And so it just makes sure it requests a decent number of items constantly.
Okay.
And the last one is a little quality of life thing where it just takes every item and then multiplies it by the green signal. There's a few different ways to do it. This is one sort of made intuitive sense to me. So the combinator next to which outputs this green signal is an on-off switch. So if you turn off this constant combinator with the green signal, it turns this entire controller off, or well, I should say more accurately, it inhibits the request from reaching the request chest.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, as that means that you can do a rebuild without having half of the base dismantled and then sent off to the make everything or wherever the storage may be.
Okay, that's really nice. Yeah, because otherwise you'd just be creating almost a loop of just sending stuff away that you're trying to actually use to build.
Yeah. The final combinator, just above the 2 constant combinators, is just what it's doing is removing that green signal from the final output wire, which is entirely optional. This one just happened to have the space available, so I put it in.
Okay.
But it's not necessary because the requester chest will ignore virtual signals.
Right. Yeah.
And so, as we move up, so this wire then comes to 4 requester chests. But it doesn't. It could be 1, could be 2, could be 6. I like 4. It's completely arbitrary, and that just same again. The request is set by the circuit condition, and then it's put onto the train. And as you can see, this train has the 50 stone on it.
Right. So, so essentially, this little walled-in thing would go at every destination you actually want a train to come pick up at, and then wired to however many requesters and stuff you want.
Yeah.
To just to clarify, then, um, this this thing here is not actually needed at every. I'm trying to think how to say this. It's not needed at every location you want to get trash out of, just where you want the train to come, right? Because like we don't have one of these in the green circuit area, do we?
Yeah, that's right. This controller actually does green circuits and red circuits at the same time.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And it uses the pass-through to go between all of the builds.
Exactly. So you only need this. I guess the best way to say is you only need this at your like end pickup destination.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the same with the smelter. Like, well, the original idea for the pass-through thing was the sim map smelter. So instead of having one of these full controllers at every stop, you had the one that covers the entire thing and then the pass-through, because it only needs to pass through the occasional stray trash, if just in case someone needs to just happen to wander through with an inventory full of wood, or and also to pass fuel down.
Right. So so yeah, that's pretty much you know this part, and then
As far as the train goes, it's just set to go to each one and then wait for 5 seconds of inactivity and then move on to the next stop. There's no other circuit conditions or anything like that. It doesn't turn off the train stop either, because of the nature of requester chests. You can either set requests or read contents. You can't do both at the same time. If I could, I would actually wire it to the train stop so that if there was no trash, it would turn off the train stop, and then the trash train wouldn't need to come round.
okay, yeah, that would actually be really cool if there was some way to do that, but
Yeah, in theory, you could actually do it with steel chests. So a row of steel chests where these requester chests are, and then another row of requester chests. But for the purpose of this map, because we're really trying to save on inserters, that's not really practical.
mm-mm. Now, out of curiosity, couldn't you just wire the Oh, I see what you mean. I see the problem. Then yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. So yeah, that's that, and then he just goes to the ME and just drops. And is there any like smart stuff for the drop off at ME, or is it literally just dump into active providers to go into storage?
It's just stack inserters into active providers, and then the train condition is wait until empty, and then it goes off the cycle again.
Yep.
So, yeah, so all the smarts is in the actual outpost controller itself.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean that pretty much covers it. It's actually, believe it or not, I actually understood pretty much the entire thing,
Hooray!
except, well, no, actually, I pretty much understood the entire thing, which is
Success.
success. I
Hooray,
mean,
success.
that means it's a very well built, easy to understand system. If I could understand it, so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a little bit overbuilt, but it's made for multiplayer and for people. In multiplayer, not everyone understands combinators, but you can understand. You say this is a list of things to keep, and this is an on-off switch.
yeah, exactly, and that's all they
Uh,
need to know, really.
yeah. Whereas the other one, you need to know, why do I need -1 million, -10,000? Why doesn't it work quite right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one, yeah, anyone can walk up to it and instantly understand it and not set fire to it.
Yeah, at least if there's walls around it, they can't.
Yeah.
Now, do you have like blueprints for this, or or like a blueprint book? Or you just have like one blueprint for this, and then just do the pass throughs by hand every time?
I never actually made a proper blueprint for this. I always ended up making it by hand in every game. But I should make a string to put up with the video.
Yeah, I'll grab a string of this thing we're sitting at because that's really the only main part you need. The others, I would imagine you would want to do by hand because you might, uh, yeah,
Yeah, generally they need to be tailored to the actual build
yeah,
because you need to run a wire to the roboport of the system you want to trash from, and that's not always the same.
mm-hmm.
Actually, there's an amusing side note. If you go to look over the labs, there's quite an impressive pass-through system linking all of the science pack builds together.
Let's see, I'm trying to find.
So if you look above the red packs, and you'll see there's this trail
Oh yeah.
of power poles and roboports.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so there's an old mini robo network going on in there, and that actually moves fuel and trash down between the labs and the various builds.
Right.
It's a bit of an extreme example of having one build for set or one trash system for many builds. I probably wouldn't push it much beyond that.
Yeah, and really the only reason that we probably even did it that way is because these were fairly close together, ish,
Yeah.
ish. It's pushing it.
um, and the fuel, for the most part, doesn't do anything because it receives fuel, like most of the trains receive fuel at the other destinations, like the mining drills, furnaces, and such,
Right.
speed modules, circuits.
Mm-hmm.
So for the most part, unless there's a big load of trash that comes in, that it doesn't do anything. So there's no active entities on the bots.
Right. So I think that pretty much covered it. Some other people had asked previously to also explain the pack system, but I mean, that can be summarized in like probably less than a minute because it's actually extremely simple.
Yeah, I didn't actually set up the pack system in this map, so I don't actually know how it works. From what I can tell, it's just a really, really overcomplicated way of when the second train pulls in, it just sends the first train away again. But it seems to just check depending on fuel and such as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to even find. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah. So this, yeah, it is wired up. Yeah, it's overcomplicated. Typically, you don't even need really any smarts for a pack system because the point of it is for like you to transport yourself somewhere. So I mean, if you want a train, you get in it and you go. And if so, but yeah, it looks based on this wiring that it is just set up to like read if there's a train here, or and turn out the station maybe. Oh, send train. Okay, so you can like call trains, I guess, with this system.
From what I can tell, it seems to distribute the trains around evenly across builds.
Interesting.
There's easy ways to do it without combinators, though. We should cover that in a future video
Yeah, yeah.
as soon as I can. It's one of those things I got to get around to actually doing myself.
I mean, if you want just like a straight up just pack system that requires absolutely no smarts, it's literally just you put a station or two, wherever a central location would be typically in your make everything or something like that in your base, and you just have a station where a train or two stations or whatever sits, and then you just have it schedule set kind of so it can go to all your main places, and that way you can call it if you want, or you can just get in it and drive. I mean, that's how I've always used pack systems is you set the schedule so that like your packs for every little base of yours or everywhere around your map is in here, so you can tell it to go there. But then really it can be just as simple as no smarts, just have the train sit there, and then you can just get in and go, or just call it to wherever you are just by using the train menu or the map.
Yeah, on my map, on my megabase map, they're just set with every state destination and then waiting for circuit condition and then just no circuit condition as if you just added the order and they'll just sit at that destination forever. I also have a few trains that shuffle between the two different points on regular intervals in case it gets stuck out there.
That's not a bad idea.
I always get questions about that one too. Why is there this random PAX train zooming around?
Yeah. So so yeah, I think that covers it. Did you have any other comments to add for this before we close out this video?
No, I'm pretty sure I covered everything. The basic theory and then the more advanced controller.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
Perfect. So there you go, guys. This I took a blueprint of this, and I'll stick it in the description of the video of this controller. You can mess with it, look at it if you didn't quite understand it. Leave any questions or thoughts you have in the comments, and hopefully this kind of helped you get a better understanding. We did go over the one we used in the 15 sim a while ago, but this one's actually even simpler, which is great.
yeah, that one did some other things as well, so it's a bit unique, whereas this is a more general case.
Yeah, which is probably better for sharing with people, anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna do it. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
See ya.